welcome to the 12th New York Sunworks Discovering Sustainability in Science Youth Conference. Woo! I'm Melissa.
And I am Sage, and we're going to be your hosts today.
We're members of the Greenhouse Classroom Support Team, and we are thrilled to be back in person this year at the Javits Center. We want to thank our sponsors, Con Edison, CVC, New York Power Authority, Clean Path New York for their continued support of our conference and to New York Sunworks programs.
We are here today to celebrate science and the wonderful work of our farmer scientists who continue to learn about and work toward a sustainable future. First, we will hear from Alan Steele, the CEO of the New York Convention Center Operating Corporation, which operates the impressive Javits Center, where we are today.
After that, our first group of student presentations are all about growing. Farmer scientists will share their investigations they are running in their hydroponic classrooms. From the impact of nutrient availability on plant growth to how water quality impacts plants, to how our words can impact plants, these farmer scientists are excited to share their research findings with you all.
Following, we will hear from Kiana Mickey, the first executive director of the New York City Mayor's Office of Urban Agriculture. The office leads the city's efforts to increase access to locally fresh food, minimize our contributions to climate change, and spur economic activity through agriculture.
This is going to be a great conference, so let's get started.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Does anyone know who Jacob K. Javits was? No? Oh, let me tell you a little bit about him before we start talking about other things. He was the son of immigrants. He lived on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. He was born in 1904. And when he wasn't at school in New York City, he was helping his mother, who was a street cart vendor. But he became a congressman. He became a senator. And he became the Attorney General of New York. And why is all this relevant to you? Well, because he was a very active civil rights and justice worker. He was very active in the 50s and the 60s with both the Civil Rights Act and other environmentally related programs at a time when there were no environmentally related programs in Congress. He would have been delighted to see you all here and to hear about the work that you're doing, because the work you're doing today is important, but the work you will do tomorrow is going to be even more important. The world needs you in a way that it's never needed people like you before. So congratulations on what you've done, and congratulations on what you will do. A quick word about the Javits Center. We have a very big commitment to sustainability. We have the second largest green roof in the country. You walked past it when you came in. We have 56 species of birds on the roof. We have about 1 million bees on the roof. We have about 5 species of bats on the roof. And there was nowhere for them to go before we had that green space. This green space is something that we created when we rebuilt the existing building. And then when we built a new building, we added a farm. What you see behind you here is a 1-acre farm. We produce about 40,000 pounds of fruit and vegetables a year. When you go out for lunch, you'll be able to see the orchard where we have apples and pears. And all of that food goes into our kitchens and serves the customers who come to our building. If we have any left over, it goes to food pantries. So we're really actively involved in working with the community to try and make sure that we're not just a big building on the west side of Manhattan. We're also very active with regard to birds for a couple of reasons. One is that we were the biggest killer of birds in New York City. All of the glass in this building was something that birds did not recognize as an obstruction. They could see through it, and they flew into it. So about 4,500 birds a year died in this area. When we refitted the building, we put in what's called bird-friendly glass. And if you look at it when you go back, you'll see that there are little dots in the glass. That allows the birds to see that there is an obstruction, and they fly around it. What happened after we had installed that and after we reduced our bird deaths by 95%, the city council decided that they needed to have similar legislation for other buildings in New York City. So now all new buildings have to have bird-friendly glass up to 75 feet. And why is that relevant? It's because we did something small and it's become legislation. What you do can help change policy, and changing policy will change lives. So again, congratulations on being here. Thank you for being here, and have a great day.
Hi everyone, my name is Caroline.
My name is Nora.
And I'm Monica. We're 8th graders representing
West End Secondary School.
And we're going to teach you about suckers.
So, what is a sucker anyway?
Suckers grow on a variety of plants. They're a branch coming off from the main stem. They take far more energy from the plant than a stem the exact same size would need, affecting the energy distribution throughout the plant. It actually slowly deteriorates the plant due to lack of energy. They're usually grown at a 45-degree angle, where there's a purple hue right where it starts. When spotted, you're supposed to cut it off to ensure the life and growth of your plant.
That seems kind of hard to identify.
Our friend Amira will show us in this video and explain it in further depth.
Essentially, there would be a main branch that's going up, and then there's another branch, like I guess a secondary branch that goes sideways, and if there's one in between, then that would be a sucker.
Thanks, Amira.
This phenomenon is viewed in the classroom every day. Mostly, we find suckers on plants like tomatoes. However, you can also see them on eggplants as well as cucumbers. If the sucker has flowers, we let them grow to increase harvest by collecting the fruit. Lastly, while most suckers show up on vine crops, you can also see them on certain flowers like roses.
Ugh, another pesky sucker.
Stop, don't throw that out. Suckers can actually turn into fully independent tomato plants when put in rooting solution fast enough. And eventually, when they have enough roots, we can put them in soil and give them to our teachers and friends. And the best part is, they're genetically identical to the plant they came from.
Wait, so you're telling me I can clone my favorite tomato plant by getting more tomatoes as well?
Yup, and eventually the clone will grow suckers of its own and the cycle will continue.
Cool. That was our presentation about suckers.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Bye!
Hello, my name is Justin Goodman, and I'm here to share about why water quality matters. One day in science, my science teacher, Ms. Shulman, taught me and my class how to monitor the water quality in our hydroponic systems. We had farmed in the systems and eaten the crops, but I always wondered how they worked. I was amazed. I wanted to investigate how these numbers affected how the crops grew. I offered to help out with them immediately. So every Wednesday, I go to the science room to measure and record the EC and pH of the plants and make suggestions on how to correct any imbalances. You might be wondering what EC and pH measure or why these measurements are important to know in a hydroponic farm. What is EC? EC means electrical conductivity and gives us information about the nutrient level of the water. The nutrients we actually water, such as nitrogen, magnesium, and potassium, are in salt form. These electrolytes allow electricity to travel faster. So the higher, the more the EC, the more nutrients in the water. Even though you need these nutrients, too much can be as bad as not enough. What is pH? pH is the amount of acidity in water. The lower the number, the more acidic. pH is measured on a scale of 1 to 15. The closer to 15, the more non-acidic or basic it is. Drinking water's average pH is 7.2. The water for the plants in the science room are much more acidic. Each crop has a preferred pH. When the pH is off, it can interfere with the crop's ability to absorb nutrients. You might be wondering how pH and EC help hydroponic farmer scientists like yourselves make decisions on how to manage water quality in your systems. Let's look at my data chart for an example. This is the data for the EC and pH for the plants at the science room. On days where they were out of range, the plants were a little off. If this was the case, you would try to fix it with less or more nutrients, or pH plus or pH minus. Though sometimes we would give a plant more nutrients on purpose so it could grow faster. Look at the March 30th row. For the VCS or vine crops, the ECU was in range, but the pH was a little low. The water needs to be a little bit more acidic, or the crops may not be able to absorb the nutrients correctly. The rest of the systems were in range. This was one of the better weeks. Learning about water quality in my school made me think about how important water quality is. If you drink water with bad water quality, it can be dangerous. Additionally, if plants don't receive the right amount of nutrients, they could die and a food shortage could happen. In New York, we're very lucky to have good water quality, though in many places it is not the same. The agriculture industry uses almost 70% of the freshwater sources on Earth. Increasingly nutrient-depleted soil requires the use of fertilizer, which is one of the top sources of contamination in rivers and streams, and causes toxic algae bloom, harming wildlife in the area. Other pollutants like oil and radioactive substances also are problems. Clearly, managing water quality in your systems to grow crops in ideal conditions is much easier than managing the water quality in our lakes, springs, and oceans. Acidification of the water resources is a huge issue that is already destroying life in our oceans. Pollution is shrinking our available water resources for food systems and human drinking water. So what can you do? Make sure you don't dump household chemicals such as laundry detergents, oil, and cleaning products down the drain. Don't waste water. It might be one of the most important resources we have. Reduce your carbon footprint as greenhouse gases interact with the environment, creating acid rain and more acidic oceans. What you choose to do can make the difference. Let's all work together to make our world a better place.
Hello, good morning. My name is Arata Kamada.
My name's Eleanor Jackson. Also, my name is Isabella Morales.
We are from Class 402 Manhattan School for Children, PS333.
We will be presenting a slideshow about pollinators.
What is pollination? Pollination is very important to Earth because it's the only way fruits, vegetables, and flowers produce seeds. Pollination is when a pollinator or a bit of wind gets pollen from one flower and moves it to another flower. This is called cross-pollinating. Seeds can only be produced when pollen is transferred between flowers of the same species.
Why is pollination important? There are a few reasons why pollination is important. The first reason is when bees pollinate, they bring it back to their hive and make honey and beeswax. Another reason why pollination is important is that pollinators keep humans and flowers alive and gives us oxygen in the long run. Lastly, pollinators give us daily uses and products such as beeswax, cashew, chocolate, coffee, peppermint, sugarcane, tea plants, and vanilla. All of these reasons show why pollination is important.
Who are pollinators? There are many types of pollinators that you might not think of. Some of them are bees, butterflies, hummingbirds, beetles, bats, wasps, moths, and parrots. All of these pollinators do the same thing in different ways. Bees, butterflies, and ladybugs. You have seen other pollinators in the last slide, but bees, butterflies, and ladybugs are some of the most common pollinators that there are. There are 20,000 species of bees. Also, monarch butterflies travel about 1,200 miles or more. Ladybugs live up to 2 to 3 years. Those are some cool facts about bees, butterflies, and ladybugs. I hope you enjoy.
Threats to pollinators. There are a lot of threats to pollinators. Here are some threats to pollinators: pesticides, monocropping, climate change, and habitat destruction.
Ways to help pollinators. There are many ways to help pollinators. Here are some important ways to help. 1. We should stop monocropping because it does not give the pollinators the right nutrients. 2. Stop using pesticides because they kill pollinators. 3. We should try to stop climate change because some plants like it cold and some like it hot. Our pollinator garden. Our class 402 is helping pollinators by making a pollinator garden for the school. Here are answers to some questions you might have. 1. A pollinator garden is where pollinators can safely pollinate. 2. A pollinator garden can actually help the environment rather than destroy it. 3. We are planting very good plants for the pollinators so that they will come to our garden. 4. We are making a pollinator garden because our class became very interested into pollinators. 5. Some flowers in the garden are milkweed, cornflower, and zinnias. And if you want to help pollinators, you can make your own garden. Don't forget to make it fast because those pollinators need us.
We hope you learned a lot and enjoyed our slideshow.
Hello, we are students from John L. Steptoe School, and today we are going to present the growth of plants. I'm Shamaya.
I'm Aiva.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Ariana Ashmead. And the question of the day is, have you ever wondered why some plants take longer than others to grow?
My group and I are going to talk to you about the distance of light and how it affects the growth of plants.
We believe that the distance of light will affect the growth of plants. We hypothesize the further the light is from the plant, the faster it will grow.
Many farmers have difficulty producing a large amount of crops in a short period of time. We want to know if their crops will have a faster growth if their light is further away or closer to the plant.
First, to conduct our experiment, we planted parsley and lettuce. We positioned the lights of the tower garden at 2 different lengths. The left side lights 18 inches away, and on the right side, 23 inches away. We were sure to provide nutrients and water daily. The growth of the plants were also precisely measured with a yardstick.
Week 1 was both no growth. Week 3 was 1.3 and 2.2 inches. Week 5 was 2.3 and 4 inches.
Week 6 was 4 and 6.1 inches, and week 7 was 5 and 7.2 inches.
The plants grew faster when the lights were a further distance from the plants. With our research data, now farmers may be able to grow plants at a faster rate by ensuring the lights are further away from the plants.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. Have a wonderful day.
Good morning and thank you for having us here today. We are very excited to be here. My name is Elliot.
My name is Lillian.
And my name is Ivan. We are second graders from PS 176 in Brooklyn. Our school is very lucky to have a greenhouse. We have 1 NFT, 2 tower gardens, and 1 VCS. We have grown a lot of produce and vegetables. Do any of you know the 3 most important things a plant needs to survive? You got it. Plants need food, water, and sunlight. Before we knew what hydroponics was, we always thought that plants just need soil, water, and sunlight. Boy, were we wrong. Throughout this school year, we have learned so many things, but the one thing that we always noticed in our hydroponic systems was how well our plants grow and looked healthy. We always made sure that all the plants were getting the proper nutrients. And so, this is how we came up with our project to present to you.
We wanted to find out if the choice of nutrients has an effect on the plant growth in our hydroponic system. In this experiment, we prepared 3 identical hydroponic systems and used 3 solutions. In this experiment, in one system, we used plain water. In another system, we used the hydroponic solution called MaxiGrow. In the last one, we used a commercial solution that can be found in your local stores called Miracle Grow. Our hypothesis is that plants with hydroponic system solutions and plants with other fertilizer solutions will both grow well without any noticeable difference. The plant with plain water, however, will not grow well because of the lack of nutrients. We planted kale and Swiss chard seeds in rockwool and placed them in 3 separate containers and labeled. We first gave each container plain water until they truly sprouted.
Then we began to add nutrients and measured. We made sure to give the same amount of nutrients to maintain an electrical conductivity of 0.3. Every week we measured and took pictures to see how much our plants grew.
Over the course of 4 weeks, we measured, recorded, and took pictures. Just to make sure that our findings were accurate, we used 3 plants for each solution. We noticed that the plants that were receiving nutrients were growing at approximately the same rate. We observed that the plants that were receiving nutrients grew an average of 1/4 inch each week. On the other hand, the plants that were receiving just water stayed fairly the same and grew very little. They grew an average of 1/4 inch by 4 weeks. Plants need nutrients to survive and thrive because they're essential for their growth and development. Nutrients are the building blocks that plants need. Our hypothesis was correct. As long as plants receive some kind of nutrients, they will grow. And those that do not will not grow well. Thank you.
Based on 72 1K student survey, 34 students believe that plants have emotions. Can we hurt plants by words?
Our school 721 presents project be a buddy, not a bully. Just drop this. Don't mix your words with your mood. You have many opportunities to change your mood, but you never got the opportunity, the praise, the words that you spoke.
Conclusion. The data in the experiment showed the both bullion and compliment plant grow had purple flower, but only compliment plant had fruit with seeds. Only compliment plant will continue the life cycle.
Our experiment, first we took 2 identical plants, then we grow them in the same container, the plant, water, and nutrients. We labeled one of the eggplants and talked nice to them 3 times per week. Next, we labeled the other eggplant bullied and talk mean to them 3 times. After 4 weeks of the experiment, we seen the same results.
The data in the experiment showed that both bullion and compliment plant grow and had purple flower, but only compliment plant had fruits with seeds. Only compliment plant will continue the life cycle.
Thanks.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hi, everybody. Morning. So good to see all these bright, beautiful faces of climate stewards and scientists. Thanks for coming out. How are you liking it so far? Yeah? All right. Oh, good. So I don't have any slides, but I did want to share some words with you. Is that okay? Great, great. So my name is Kiana Mickey. I'm the Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of Urban Agriculture, the city's first Office of Urban Agriculture. How many folks knew that? Thanks. So I'm really excited and happy to be with y'all. I'm looking forward to hearing more about the work and seeing the career fair. And I'm just really excited to see all these great New York climate stewards and scientists at our New York Sunworks annual youth conference. So just really happy to be here in person, right? After all these months and years of having to do things on Zoom or just in classes. So happy to be with y'all. You know, why am I here? And why am I so excited to see you? You're probably wondering. Well, for years, I've worked in urban agriculture. I've worked with farmers, I worked with gardeners, I worked with scientists, you know, data collectors, folks in hydroponics, folks that also did community garden work for years. And what we wanted to do is continuing to find ways to work on food justice, so everybody had the right to eat and grow food and the food that they want, and also working on how to make sure we can include everybody in that. So whether you were from the Bronx or whether you were from Brooklyn, whether you were a senior, whether you were just you know, a kid in pre-K, we wanted to make sure that we all found a way to train folks to learn how to grow and then how to eat this healthy, great food. So after a few years of doing that, I got a call and they said, hey, you've done all this great work in the community, you've done all this work around policy, we're gonna start this office. Would you like to be able to be the face of that office to work with community even more? And I said, well, I couldn't resist, right? I wanted to be able to work with students like you all and to see how can I help grow folks, not just the plants that we grow, but can we grow the brilliance and skills and faces of all, you know, of y'all now to be our new leaders and our new scientists? And can an office that New York City is running support you in education and local food, but also giving you a chance to be the climate stewards and farmer scientists that you want to be? And that's really what I think the office is about. It's not just pushing paper or, you know, coming up and telling stories. I think it's around how do we create progress? How do we support, you know, our youth so as they grow up, they can continue to be the New Yorkers that are a part of change. And you know, it's important for us and our jobs at the city to foster your brilliance, to help you and other New York kids like yourselves to become these emerging leaders in our climate justice and find ways to make this, if this is your passion and you want to do it for a living, how you can also do that as well. But you know, part of it too is we need to be able to come out and meet y'all where you're at. We need to be able to see you at conferences like this, to hear and learn from you about your great work. We also need to come out to schools. So one of the things that I continue to do is try to find ways to not just meet folks at conferences, but actually go into the community and actually go into schools to see what you're doing right then and there. And it's great to work with, you know, partners like Sunworks, New York Sunworks, that is giving you your chance to learn and grow. So whether it's you still want to do volunteering efforts, if you do it in the classroom, or if this is the way you start to explore different careers, you know, we want to find a way to connect because the city needs great thinkers, but we need great doers, all like you right here. So I'm sure through all your studies and the explorations that you're doing and the surveys that you're doing, that you're finding new solutions to, you know, curing problems or solving problems. You know, problems like food, problems like how to make sure plants can grow. Like they were saying earlier, do plants even have emotions and feelings? You know, these are all the things that we need right now to understand how we can make this a more sustainable and healthier planet for all of us. And you know, just being an adult doesn't mean we have all the answers. Oftentimes we need to continue to find a way to explore, testing out new ideas, but also how do we innovate? And how do we innovate not, you know, with each other? So whether you're in 5th grade or high school, there's always a way to be a continual learner. And even for me, you know, this is my job, but I'm continuing to learn, and I'm happy to be here to continue to learn from y'all. What also I'm learning too is how do you learn in your classroom? What are you learning about resiliency? How to make things thrive? How do you continue to learn about sustainability? How do we create a healthier place in a neighborhood and a community, not just for ourselves, not just even for our families, but for all our neighbors? So whether it's carbon reduction through growing, or it's creating healthy soils, or even, addressing, suckers. How do we continue to support urban agriculture to address climate crisis and change? And what it takes, it means thinking creatively. It means thinking critically. And it also means teamwork. So everybody next to you, how do we build the skills that we need to get us to our current present and a vibrant future? So I think it's not just about being creative, because I think y'all know that really well. I think it's also about acting with intention and being kind. And how do we do that? We continue to not just use data and science, we use those as opportunities to bring folks together to share the learning like we're doing today. And not every kid gets a chance to get the same opportunities that you have, but I'm hoping as we continue to work together, we can find a way to make that an opportunity for all kids. But I really see y'all as not just the students you are today, I also see you as our new leaders. And I think you care about the land and the water and the food and the soil we have, but I know that you want us to all have a sustainable future. So I want you to continue to use these opportunities, talk to each other, whether you're at lunch or whether you're at the career fair. Think about your spark. What creates a spark in you to want to continue to innovate and want you to continue to learn? And then how do you bring that back to your community? How do you bring that back to the class? So a lot of people don't know this, but my very first job when I was 16 years old was picking weeds at parks and community gardens all around New York City. I was really, when I was your age, I was also really interested in protecting the environment. And that was one of the first ways that I got a chance to do it. So not just sitting at home and reading about it, but really getting my hands dirty. And, over a couple of years and a little bit of extra work and a couple of more weeds, I got a chance to run this office. So I'm hoping that we can continue to find ways to learn and work together. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all here, in the next year, in the next month, in the next 2 years. I'm sure I'm going to continue to see you doing all the great work that you're doing. Your climate stewardship and your science work, you've already begun, and I'm just really excited to see what more you have to do. So now I want to share just a little moment. Mayor Adams really wanted to be here, but he couldn't come. So what I said was, I can offer this great acknowledgement and recognition for all the great work that you're doing, all the great work that Sunworks has been doing. And he wanted to say thank you, and I want to be able to share that with y'all. So here I'm going to present this award.
That's okay.
Is it here? Yes. Here we go. So Manuela, New York Sunworks, thank you so much. Again, on behalf of the city, thank you. It's all the hard work that you're doing that gets you this recognition and award, and we continue to love to support.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow, that was so inspiring. Coming up in our second group of presentations, it is all about innovating. First, we will hear from Viraj Puri, co-founder of Gotham Greens, a Brooklyn, New York-based certified B corporation. Over the past decade under Viraj's leadership, Gotham Greens has grown to be one of the largest and most commercially successful indoor farming companies in the world, with more than 500 employees and 13 high-tech greenhouse facilities across 9 U.S. states. Today, Gotham Greens products are available in more than 6,000 grocery stores and e-commerce in more than 45 U.S. states.
Following, students will share how they have created their own hydroponic systems and imagined solutions to current climate change challenges. From designing their own rainwater catchment systems to creating an automated tower garden system, these innovators take their hydroponic classrooms to the next level. After hearing from these student presenters, we're going to hear from another extraordinary guest, Adrienne Adams. She is the Speaker of the New York City Council, elected in January 2022 by her colleagues. She leads the most diverse and first women majority council in New York City history as the first ever African American speaker. Please welcome our next group of presenters.
Hi, I'm Viraj Puri, co-founder and CEO of Gotham Greens, and I'm excited to be here today at the New York Sunworks Annual Youth Conference. What makes it really exciting is I've been involved with New York Sunworks for a long time, and I was part of the original team that designed and developed New York Sunworks' first rooftop greenhouse at PS 333 on Manhattan's Upper West Side. And it's just been incredible to see the amount of progress and impact that New York Sunworks has been able to make, just exposing students and teachers to the science of sustainability and this amazing form of farming known as controlled environment agriculture and hydroponics, and all the inspiring classroom stories that have come out of the progress for the last 10 or 12 years. And the story of New York Sunworks is similar to that of Gotham Greens. When we started our company about 12 years ago, there were no commercial scale hydroponic farms like this in New York City. And I'm really proud that 12 years later, Gotham Greens has grown from a single rooftop greenhouse farm like this to 13 large-scale hydroponic farms like this across the country. We have almost 2 million square feet of greenhouse across 7 US states and almost 600 employees farming this amazing hydroponic produce that's for sale in thousands of supermarkets in 48 states. And I'm just so proud that we've been able to make this impact. And we have an amazing team of people, and I'm proud of all 600 of those team members who are doing everything from seeding, harvesting, transplanting, delivering the products, working in marketing, sales, finance, accounting, construction, all these amazing jobs that have come out of this amazing idea. And just the power of hydroponic farming to change behaviors, be great for the environment, and inspire people to cook with better tasting ingredients to improve their health, the health of their cities, and the health of their planet. Kudos to New York Sunworks. You've developed dozens and dozens of projects across New York City and inspired many others around the world. And I really encourage so many of you to continue to work in controlled environment agriculture and sustainability, and to inspire entrepreneurs and scientists and engineers to come up with solutions, innovative solutions toward our climate crisis. So it's fantastic to be with you today. Thank you for all that you guys do. And I'm really excited to show you a short video on the impact and work that Gotham Greens does.
Gotham Greens is a fresh food company, farming with the future in mind. We built the nation's first commercial-scale rooftop greenhouse in the heart of New York City back in 2011, with the mission of creating a local, urban farming company that offered city dwellers fresh, high-quality produce all year round. Nearly 10 years later, our farms look a bit different, but our mission remains the same. We are continuing to transform how and where fresh produce is grown, and we are building sustainable greenhouses all across America. In the United States, 98% of lettuce is grown in 2 states, California and Arizona. By the time conventional produce makes its way to grocery stores in places like Chicago, New York City, and Boston, the greens are typically at least a week old. This not only impacts flavor, freshness, and shelf life, but also leads to increased food waste for both supermarkets and consumers. We've set out to disrupt the conventional supply chain by building a network of regional greenhouses across the country. This means that no matter where you live, you can enjoy local salad greens, herbs, dressings, and sauces from Gotham Greens. Local cultivation and regional distribution helps us deliver our products quickly after being harvested to ensure they are fresh-tasting, nutritionally dense, and long-lasting. Today, we own and operate one of the largest networks of high-tech greenhouses across the country, including 3 in New York City, 2 in Chicago, as well as locations in Colorado, Rhode Island, Maryland, Virginia, California, Georgia, and Texas. Our locally grown packaged salads, herbs, dressings, and sauces can be found at grocery stores across more than 30 states, as well as at local food co-ops and independent supermarkets. Local favorites include our new crispy green leaf, as well as popular salad greens like butterhead lettuce and greenhouse crunch. Eating more plants is better for you and better for the environment. We know that green produce starts with green decisions, and we strive to do more with less. Agriculture is the largest user of land and fresh water on the planet, and it's the leading cause of global water pollution. Our sustainable hydroponic growing practices enable us to use 95% less water and 97% less land than conventional farming practices. Our team takes food safety seriously and is dedicated to growing the cleanest greens free of chemical pesticides. By 2023, our greenhouses will total more than 40 acres, or 1.8 million square feet. All of our facilities are sun and wind powered and climate controlled for a year-round growing season. Gotham Greens is dedicated to urban renewal and becoming permanent fixtures in the neighborhoods surrounding our greenhouses. By partnering with local schools, community gardens, and nonprofits, we're able to put better food on the table. These programs are rooted in the communities where we work, live, and play, but the impact extends beyond the borders of our neighborhoods. To learn more about Gotham Greens and our line of sustainable local produce and fresh foods, visit our website at gothamgreens.com.
Wastewater Catchment System 501 5th grade, Manhattan School for Children by Aiden,
Alexandra,
Owen,
Sophia, and Yalma.
PS333.
This is our rainwater catchment project that we will be showing you today.
This is an example of a professional rainwater catchment system. When it rains, the water slides off the slanted roof of the building and into a pipe leading into a rainwater filter where the water is cleansed from any bacteria it may have. It then flows into the rainwater storage tank where the water is then distributed throughout the building as requested.
Our engineering process. For this project, we made 3 houses, but our first house did not have a lot of structure. For our second house, we thought it was reasonable, but we set the goals too high and our sprinkler blew everything up. At our third attempt, we didn't have a lot of cardboard to use to make as a house, so we just used scrap piece of half a cardboard box and worked our best effort on it. We had some leaking problems, so we used the tape to cover up the leaks. If we were to do this again, we would try to make it cleaner and neater.
This is a picture of a rainwater catchment system. First, the water falls into the cup, then it goes through a pipe which leads to the filter. The filter is made out of tissue paper in order to clean the water. The finished results falls into another cup and reveals perfectly clean water. To prevent leaks and water damage, we covered the house in tape.
How the filter works. First, the dirty rainwater enters the filter, which is made out of tissue. Then the sand gets stuck on the tissue and only lets the water go through, providing us with fresh, clean water.
Why rainwater catchment is important. Only 3% of the world's water is fresh water, and the remaining 97% is too salty to drink. We need ways to conserve water and recycle more water. We made this rainwater catchment system because when it rains, so much water falls to the floor. But if you catch the water and filter it, it can be drinking water. Thank you for listening attentively.
Good morning, my name is Ryan Kareem.
My name is Afrina Tahaullah.
And my name is Nazifa Nawar from class 401 in PS214K Michael Fritzam School.
And this is our experiment called the replacement for Rockwell. The sub of PS214's hydroponic system. Hydroponics is a kind of farming where instead of using soil, we replace it with a substrate called Rockwell.
The problem. What would happen if we ran out of Rockwell, our main substrate or container for a hydroponic system? Could we create another substrate?
This is a picture of Rockwell. Rockwell is some type of cotton-like substance that is used to grow plants in our hydroponics lab. But unlike any other cotton, Rockwell is much more absorbent like the soil in the ground.
These are some of the alternate substrates that we used to conduct our experiment. These alternate substrates were made out of various homemade materials.
Our hypothesis: we'll be able to create a substrate that can efficiently replace rock wool while growing arugula in our hydroponic system.
Designing an experiment. Our experiment was designed with using one variable, that being the substrate. Everything else was the same, such as the same day planted, March 28, 2023, the same seed, which is arugula, the same amount of water, the same amount of sunlight, and the same system, which is hydroponics.
This is a picture of some fully grown arugula that we grew with the rock wool before our experiment was conducted.
This is the list of homemade materials we used to conduct our experiment. It is coffee filters, cotton balls, paper towel, tissue, string, and more items.
Step-by-step experimentation. We were all given a handful of household items to create our substrate to efficiently replace rock wool.
We placed 3 arugula seeds in our newly invented substrate.
The invented container and the rock wool seeds were placed on a water tray on March 28, 2023.
We also placed 3 arugula seeds in the rock wool.
Students placed water in both trays, rock wool and the newly invented substrate.
Light was provided to the rock wool seeds and the newly invented substrate for 12 hours a day.
We observed the growth for all the seeds for over 6 weeks.
Students made observations of each week's growth for both samples. Listing the data. Growth of arugula in millimeters after 6 weeks. As you can see in the pictures, the data and the averages, the plants that grew with rock wool grew much better than the ones without.
Conclusion: after analyzing and discussing with our hydroponics teacher, Trevor, we concluded that because most of the plants didn't have enough space or water, they couldn't grow to the height that, as we saw, of the rock wool plants.
We also discovered that the roots in the rock wool were much more dense than the ones in the alternate substrate.
We can conclude that rock wool is better to grow plants with compared to the alternate substrate, but we now know you can grow plants in a hydroponic system with an alternate substrate from rock wool. Thank you for your time, and thank you to everyone who helped me, my fellow presenters, my parents, our families, my teachers, Miss Rudman, Trevor, and Miss Patensky, and thank you all.
Hi, our names are Gabby Mercedes,
Emil Hernandez,
Ariana Gomez, and this is our homemade hydroponic system. What is a hydroponic system?
A hydroponic system is the technique of using a water-based nutrient solution to grow plants instead of soil.
So this project started my junior year. I was assigned with the objective of building a hydroponic system, but I didn't really know how to start it. So I did research, and I found a YouTube video on how to make a homemade hydroponic system. So then we started my senior year, and then we had some difficulties at first, but then these incoming freshmen, they came and helped me to build a hydroponic system. So yeah.
Our hydroponic system started on one side of a wall outside our classroom, and we made a blueprint on what we were supposed to build to make it bigger. We started drilling holes into PVC pipes to put plants in them to grow. And it was difficult drilling holes into our wall because it had metal borders behind it. Then we had to order a pump that pumped water high enough so the plants could, get water and grow. We had to PVC seal the pipes together so that there would be no leaks. and the plants could grow normally.
We had many of difficulties while building this hydroponic system because if it wasn't one thing, it was another. First issues that we always had was we were running out of materials, or the materials would be stolen or missing. Another issue that we had was PVC ceiling would always be leaking all over the floors, and we would get screamed at all the time in the hallways. Another issue that we also had was the water leaking all over the place, and dealing with a senior that's 18 years old wasn't the easiest because he's a little hard-headed and he thinks he knows it all, so that was kind of difficult, especially when you're two freshmen dealing, yeah. And we just like to give a shout out to 4 staff members that were a really big help in our project, which is Victor Reynoso, our staff, I don't know.
Our teacher, Emma Fleming, and Mr. Sedita, who was helping us drill holes in the wall, and the custodians at our school.
Thank you for listening to our presentation.
Aren't you guys tired of constantly maintaining your hydroponic systems?
Maintaining your hydroponic systems can be pretty tedious.
My name is Abdul.
My name is Joelle.
And we're here to present TAG. TAG, also known as the Tower Automated Garden, is it's an automated hydroponic system that helps you monitor your EC, pH, water level, and temperature.
Hydroponics is a good method of farming because it's more better than conventional farming, since New York is made up of more buildings than land. And with hydroponics, it can give people healthier foods. Yeah.
In the lab, we have to take daily measurements of the EC, pH, water level, and temperature to make sure that the plants are growing at a healthy and steady rate.
And with TAG, it measures EC, also known as electrical conductivity, pH, water level, temperature, humidity, and light intensity. This is very helpful for everybody because over a weekend, we were all gone from the hydroponic system, and then the water level was too low, which caused the plants to die. And with TAG, it can help stop unnecessary plant deaths.
TAG is a very inexpensive and user-friendly system. It has 3 microcontrollers that can be interchangeable to monitor any part of the system that you want. It works on a 24-hour system. It monitors your system every 5 minutes and gives you updates.
And the size of TAG is about the size of your average iPhone, so this is not going to inconvenience your hydroponic system. All it needs to do is be near an outlet for it to work.
With the data interface, it's very simple and not complicated, so it's very easy for students and other people to use. It tells you the EC, the temperature, anything that you put for the system to monitor.
And this is what you will see when you open the TAG app, either on your phone, computer, tablet, or whatever. The EC is the blue line and pH is the pink line. And as you see, as pH decreases, EC increases. And on the bottom graph, it shows you how your plant is working during night and day.
Using science, technology, art, and math, we want students to get a hands-on learning experience using their critical thinking, problem-solving skills to make them a good teamwork and collaboration so they have a future career in the CEA.
The reason for our presentation is to get funding for TAG so this can be placed in schools in all of New York City and all around the world. This is a good learning tool for teachers to use to teach their students about hydroponics, and also for hydroponic scientists to kind of know more about hydroponics. What TAG 2 is a better version of TAG 1, and what TAG 2 will have is canisters full of EC, pH up and pH down, and water, so it can automatically fill the hydroponic system so your plants don't die. Thank you for coming.
Thank you once again.
Hi, my name is Naima Mignol.
Hi, my name is Miles.
Hi, my name is Milo.
Hi, my name is Memphis.
We are from PS9 in Brooklyn, New York. The hypothesis is we think that our plant will grow successfully in our DIY wick system.
How will our plant survive in our DIY wick system?
The hypothesis, we think that our plant will grow successfully in our DIY hydroponic system.
Materials: plastic bottle, scissors, cotton wick, Q-plug, paper towel, nutrients, clay pebbles. Procedure:
cut the bottle where the curve ends, a bit more than 1.5 way down. Do with a parent/guardian.
Step 2. Flip the top half of the bottle into the bottom half of the bottle.
Step 3. Thread the cotton wick through the opening of the bottle top so the wick will reach the water in the reservoir. Step 4. Add the nutrients, clay pebbles, and the water to the system. Step 5. Put the Q-plug into the system.
Our observations.
We observed that the cotton wick sucks the water, and the Q-plug sucks in the water from the cotton wick, and the root sucks in the water from the Q-plug, and the plant and the Q-plug can absorb the water from the cotton wick.
We noticed that nothing happened for the first few days.
Our hypothesis was correct. Our plants are growing successfully. Our plants are getting everything it needs.
My hypothesis was correct and it survived.
In conclusion, our plant was supported by our DIY hydroponic system. Our hypothesis was correct. Our plant grew successfully.
Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Well, let me start off. My name is Valentina Wolf and this is my research partner.
Hi, I'm Victoria Pshadanek.
And we both go to Brooklyn Technical High School. Now, at Brooklyn Tech, we have a scholars program called Western Research. And this program allows us to research topics that we enjoy and have a passion in. So, today we will be talking about our research that we did concerning vermicompost and hydroponics. Let's start off. So, when you see this picture, you might think traditional agriculture, farming, a farmer, pitchfork, maybe some flannel, but let's think about it in realistic terms. Fertilizer is a big part of farming, and we all know this. You need nutrients for plants to grow, obviously. And this fertilizer not only takes a big economic footprint, but also a carbon footprint as well, as fertilizer makes up at least 1% of all carbon emissions globally. Now, farming takes up a lot of space, so how can we change this? Well, modern agriculture or aquaculture is one of our solutions. This is a picture of our hydroponic greenhouse at Brooklyn Tech. Thanks to Sunworks, we were able to educate other students about hydroponics and their benefits. However, fertilizers like MaxiGrow and MaxiBloom are often frequently used, and yes, we know, they're very good and whatnot. However, we wanted to ask, is there a better alternative? Could we find a solution that is more economically and more sustainable for our community, for not only our wallets, but our planet? Let me introduce you to something, vermicomposting, a process that relies on earthworms and microorganisms to compose organic matter to be able to have organic fertilizer, or as we know as compost. Now, this compost can be changed into something else if soaked in something like a sock, maybe like a tea bag. This is compost tea. This compost tea was made in our school using our compost tower. Now, this compost tower did not take a lot of time or resources to make, only a little kit and some worms. And that's basically it. So, let me give this off to my partner, Victoria, to explain more of the economic logistics.
Did you know that by using compost tea and hydroponics, you actually save $3 more per season than with chemical fertilizers? On top of that, if the worms keep reproducing and you reuse the compost bins, you actually save more money over time. But you may be wondering, is there really a difference? As you can see, on the left side of both photos, we have our water constant, while on the right side of both photos, we have our compost tea. And in the span of the 30 days between the two photos, we can see that indeed, compost tea helps plants grow more than with regular water. On top of collecting data for the height, we can see that approximately 1.6 centimeter difference between the two. And on top of the height, we've also collected the pH, or the amount of hydrogen inside of a solution, as well as the EC, or the electrical conductivity of a solution. After analyzing everything, we can see that with the close proximity between the two, we have decided that yes, compost tea can be used as a substitute fertilizer for hydroponics. But where do we start? And the answer honestly starts with the Brooklyn Tech Gardening Club.
With the Brooklyn Tech Garden Club, we were able to not only find how hydroponics work, but again, thanks to Sunworks, we were able to educate our other students about the great things of hydroponics. However, with our growing population, after we just reached our 8 billion population globally around November of last year, we need to think of new ways of how to not only keep food waste down, but have more food to feed our growing population. Compost tea gives us the solution because not only does it allow for our organic scraps to be recycled and be used to a better purpose, but it also allows for not only better methods of gardening and producing food for other people as well.
And with the help of the Brooklyn Tech Gardening Club, not only have they helped us take care of our plants and maintain the greenhouse, but they also asked themselves, what can vermicomposting do for me? And with a combined passion to search for answers, we all can grow for a better future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm New York City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams, and it is my honor to greet you at New York Sunworks' 11th Annual Youth Conference. Since 2004, New York Sunworks has built 250 hydroponic labs, trained 750 teachers, and reached more than 122,000 students. Your incredible organization is empowering the next generation of leaders to create a greener, more sustainable future for our city. The Council is proud to support Sunworks through critical investments that bring hydroponic labs directly into our classrooms, and we will continue to prioritize science education. To our students from Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, I hope you have a great conference full of curiosity and joy. We can't wait to see what you showcase through your research and investigations. Thank you to all of our partners at New York Sunworks for all that you do. Have a wonderful conference.
All these presentations have been so impressive. We have one more group of presenters for you all. For our final section of presenters, they are going to talk about how we can act to create change. But before we get into that, we're sensing a little bit of a lull of energy in the room, so we're going to take a little poll, all right? So, we're wondering up here, because I know I have a preference, what everyone's favorite hydroponic system might be. So, by a show of hands, whose favorite system is the vine crop? Not as many as I would have thought. Anybody else? Vine crop? Hello, hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Vine crop. Got it. All right. Whose favorite is a tower garden or a lettuce grow? Okay.
Okay.
Not that surprising. There's a pretty cool system. And last but not least, let me see it. Who's supporting the NFTs? Woo, 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 woo.
Oh, we've got some whoops for the NFTs.
Very nice.
I see you.
Nice. All right, now bring it back in. So before we get our next group of student presentations underway, we're going to hear from Kyla Mainsa. She is the Vice President for Environmental Justice at the New York Power Authority. Kyla has 15 years of experience in environmental policy and engineering management in the US and the UK. She has demonstrated a history of delivering positive results in the energy and environmental justice sectors through innovative energy projects combined with experience empowering underserved communities through education.
Following that, we will hear from students who will share how they are acting as global citizens engaging in community events and expanding the learning beyond their hydroponic classrooms to solve local and global issues. Students will share their investigations about the impact of human actions on plants and marine animals, their action projects about local green space and air quality, community events, and school stewardship related to their hydroponic classrooms, and more. Finally, we will hear from Jerry Taylor, the Director of Diversity and Career Pathways at the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, where she leverages successful tools and resources to build the support programs for diverse young people as they navigate green careers. She leads the Career Pathways programming, the Green Mentor Program, and the Green Jobs employer training efforts. Let's give a warm welcome to our last group of presenters. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me? Yes, yes. Okay, good. You guys are such good presenters. To tell you the truth, I'm a little intimidated because you're such good presenters. But I want to thank, here we go, that's it. I am really excited to be here, and I want to thank Manuela for inviting me. I'm so impressed, as I said, and I'm always impressed when I go to the 23 green classrooms that we support throughout New York City. You guys inspire us at NYPA. You inspire your communities, you inspire your teachers, and we're really, really proud of you. I just wanted to tell you that. So these are some of the green classrooms that we support throughout the 5 boroughs. So before I start, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in a small country in southern Africa called Zambia. Anybody ever heard of it? Wow, a lot of people. That's great. So I grew up on our family farm. And when I was young, my parents would wake me up really early in the morning and ask me to help out. And I would grumble. I would be really, tired. I didn't want to wake up. But what I didn't understand is how lucky I was to be able to get fresh fruit and vegetables as soon as I wake up right on my doorstep. And that's a picture of my kids with their cousins. Now it's my turn to wake them up and make sure that they're helping out. So now in Zambia, a lot of people eat the food that they grow. And so we're very dependent on weather patterns. Just a few seasons of bad rain could mean droughts and famine. And so as you guys know all about the climate. So you know that it's going to change the weather patterns, and it's going to be very difficult to predict what type of food we grow and when we grow it. So when I was 13 years old, my father became a diplomat, and he started traveling all around the world. And so my family got the chance to live in many different parts of Africa, but I also lived in France and in Germany and in England. That's where I studied most of the time. And then I lived in China as well. And now I live in New York. So traveling around, I got the chance to really see how this change in weather patterns is going to disrupt food supply. I also wanted to talk a little bit about food scarcity. I know a lot of people think that hunger and food scarcity happens somewhere else far away, but we New Yorkers know that that's not true. A lot of our neighbors in New York City live in food deserts. That means they have a lack of access to healthy and affordable food. And we know during COVID, during the pandemic, a lot of New Yorkers found it very difficult to find food for their children and for their families. And as you know, a lot of the food that's grown in New York City comes from somewhere else. It's shipped, or it's come from upstate, or it's flown in. And so as we have more extreme weather events and more flooding events, it means that it's going to be very difficult in the event of a superstorm to get the food to us. And so it's really important that communities learn to grow food locally for themselves. So now that's a very bleak picture. But I have hope. You know why I have hope? Because of you guys. Because I can see that the things that you're learning in the green classrooms, you guys have those solutions that we're going to need to be able to deal with all the different challenges that I've mentioned. Now, hydroponic gardens, that's not the whole story, but it's one solution, and it's going to take a lot of integrated policy to come together to solve these challenges. And so I can see from your presentations and all the research you've done that you're not just learning about the hydroponics, you're also learning about energy efficiency, you're learning about sustainability, and you're learning about what it takes to empower communities by making sure that they're resilient and that they're growing food locally. So when I look at you guys, I look at climate justice advocates, I look at food justice activists, I'm looking at environmental scientists, I'm looking at engineers. And so I know that the work that you're doing here is going to be what's going to get us out of this mess. And what you're doing is really important. It's going to be shared with other students in New York City, but it's also going to be shared around the world. So I want everyone to get up on their feet, because I really like that photograph that's there. This one, we're going to recreate this. Is everyone on their feet? Yes? So, when I count to 3, I want everybody to put their fist in the air, just like these kids, and say, food justice is climate justice. Have you got it? Just practice it. Food justice is climate justice. But when I count to 3, shh. Is everyone silent? Okay. What are we saying? All right then. 1, 2, 3. Food justice is climate justice. Well done. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Have you ever wondered how ocean acidification affects the world you live in? Good afternoon. We are Veronica Ivanyuk.
I'm Lynn Icy.
I'm Delia Moses.
And I'm Melissa Vasquez.
We are from PS 84. We will be talking about ocean acidification.
Now, you may be wondering, what is ocean acidification? Ocean acidification is when ocean water absorbs more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, causing it to become more acidic.
The normal pH of the ocean is 8.2, but since the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s, the ocean has become 40% more acidic.
Ocean acidification decreases carbonate, a vital component of salt water, causing marine life to dissolve, weaken, and become thinner.
Over time, shells have thinned. Sea animals use energy to rebuild their shells. Because of this, they don't have enough energy to hunt and eat.
Humans' increasing use of fossil fuels has resulted in carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere, which is then absorbed into the ocean.
To understand how ocean acidification affects sea animals, we took egg and seashells and put them into 3 different water solutions. Over the course of 6 weeks, we monitored and made observations about the eggshells and seashells. Our hypothesis: the more acidic the liquid, the more the eggs and seashells will dissolve.
For day 1, there are no changes except for the containers with vinegar, which have bubbles forming outside of the shells.
On day 25, the 100% water, there weren't much changes. For the 50% vinegar and 50% water, the water is cloudy, the seashell stayed intact while the brown color came off the eggshell. For the 100% vinegar solution, there were some particles in the water. The color is coming off the eggshell and the seashell is starting to dissolve.
For our observations on day 39, the shells and eggshells are intact with no changes. As you can see for the other containers, the shells are more brittle. With the more vinegar, the worse the state of the shells.
In the first picture, we are making our final observation. In the second picture, we are carefully pulling out the seashells from the water and vinegar solutions.
The vinegar in this experiment represents the ocean acidification, and the shells represent any animal with shells. This experiment showed us how acidic water can affect and harm sea animals. With over 1 billion people in the world relying on the ocean as a food source, we need to act now.
You can help by doing one of these things. Reduce the amount of plastic, water, and soda bottles you buy. Recycle your paper, plastic, metal, and glass. use a reusable water bottle or straw, learn more about ocean acidification, and spread awareness.
Thank you to our teacher, Ms. Chan.
Thank you for listening.
And have a nice day.
Hello, everyone. 1, 2, 3, can you hear? All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Roman.
I'm Samir.
And we are from Rachel Carson High School for Coastal Studies. And we're representing the Superclass Research 250. And we would like to show you our project, To Tree or Not to Tree. So let's begin. As most of us know from the middle school science class, trees are able to absorb CO2 particles and magically turn them into oxygen. Well, through a process called photosynthesis. However, what my partner and I want to find out is whether or not the same effect can be applied to any other particles. One of such particles that we chose was PM2.5. To say it straight, PM2.5 is a type of a pollutant that primarily causes breathing issues. So one of this kind of an issue is asthma. But, however, it's only harmful with the levels reaching from 15 micrograms per meter cubed all the way to 35. Safe, obviously, being below 15. Last year, we used the mapping software to show the correlation between the land used for the green space in the NYC neighborhood and the percentage of PM2.5 in the air, as you can see in these maps on the bottom. However, this year, we narrowed our projects down to investigate the air pollution on elementary school campuses.
We first began by selecting 10 schools. We then divided these schools into groups of 5. The first group having an abundance of trees, and the second group having less amount of trees. We then took a device called the Temtop M2000. It's that orange device over there. This device allowed us to gather information on the surrounding air quality, and it can also detect various types of air pollutants. We took this device to all 10 school campuses and gathered data by video recording the Temtop and plugging in data into an Excel sheet. We then used the map, or a software called the Measure It map, as you can see on the right graph. This software allowed us to measure the area and the tree percentage of every single school. As you can see here, these are the 2 schools that we chose. The PS 101 is unfortunately had the lowest tree percentage, and PS 153 had the highest tree percentage. After all that was done, we plugged all our data into a graph. As you can see in the green, it is our tree percentage. The first 5 schools have a low to moderate percentage of trees compared to the last 5, which have a really high percentage of trees. The black line is the PM2.5 value. It stays moderately the same, but it does have a spike at PS209. The reason being is that they have an engine that powers 2 outside buildings and also produces a lot of air pollution. And you can also see a red trend line. This trend line just basically shows that this graph has no trend, because in order for there to be a trend, the trend line value has to be at a 0.4. This unfortunately means that there was no correlation between air quality and green space around elementary school campuses, completely refuting our hypothesis. But we found some future solutions or future steps that we can take.
Now, looking back at our research, we realized that there were a lot of confounding variables that affected our research project. Some of those variables can be the wind speed, the amount of greens that were on the school properties and outside of it, and of course, weather conditions. So, knowing this, we thought of the future research. We hypothesized that the classrooms with hydroponics would have better air quality than the classrooms without them, and this would lead to a better student learning outcomes. With this new research project, we could collect data on the effect of programs like New York Sunworks on academic achievements of students in partner schools. And that's it pretty much for our project. However, I would like to still say thank you to our beautiful teacher, Miss O'Leary. Miss O'Leary, thank you very much for being here for us.
Applaud everyone, clap your hands. Miss O'Leary!
Thank you so much. Thank you for your emotional support throughout this whole 2 years of making this project possible. making us stay here on stage. Thank you. And of course, New York Sunworks, thank you very much for allowing us to show our knowledge. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jade Ramirez.
I'm Nasir Madison.
Nolan Turner.
And this is our project on phytoremediation, plants and heavy metals.
All right, our hypothesis is that the dye that we use to represent metals in sunflowers are going to be completely gone by the time our project is finished.
The problem for a solution is that while metals have existed in soil from natural and industrial waste, the industrial waste has caused the soil to be contaminated due to the amount of metal. And now we have to clean the contaminated soil that's contaminated with the metal.
So, a lot of you might be wondering, what is phytoremediation? By the show of hands, how many of you can guess like what phytoremediation is? Like, by a show of hands. Not a lot of hands. I see only like 1 or 2 to 3. So the definition of phytoremediation is a process of extracting heavy metals and toxins from soil with the use of greenery plants. So plants actually, like some plants can actually have the ability to extract contaminants from soil and water. And it's actually crazy because these are plants that we could even grow in our own homes. Like for example, a sunflower. Yeah. So the process of phytoremediation. So as you can see by the image here, you see the contaminants on the dirt, like copper, zinc, cadmium, and aluminum. So what a sunflower or plants like willows or they suck up they absorb the contaminants through the soil and they keep it in their leaves. Eventually, these plants will rot by the time that the contaminants are gone, but it does remove and gradually does like remove all contaminants from soil. These are images of what we based our project on. So in here we have cups of water and liquid, and you can see that there are uranium in it. But uranium is very toxic, so we chose to use dye to represent the contaminants in soil and water. So this is our procedure.
So first, we planted sunflower seeds. We waited 1 to 3 weeks for them to grow. Next, we put them in cups of water. We put the liquids and placed the metals, quote unquote, in the water. We tested and recorded it. We placed the sunflower seeds, waited a week, tested the water again, and then recorded our results.
The materials that we used for our project were copper, zinc, mercury, nickel, ammonia, water, sunflower seeds, cups, the hydroponic lab, time, and a heavy metal analyzer.
This is also a design that we based up our project upon, but it's in a grander scheme of things. Like in a farm, for example, they would use plants like sunflowers to extract contaminants in the soil. And these are images of our experiment. This is us in the water tower growing sunflower seeds. And this is the data that we collected over time. The correlation of lead concentration in leaves varies. Sunflower variations of the concentration of the soil that were plotted in. And over time, the sunflowers have like gradually removed the contaminants of lead. In conclusion, our experiment was successful. After constantly sticking to the procedure, the soil was brought back to health, and using the heavy metal analyzer from before and after, the sunflower have extracted the metals that we have said in the materials in the beginning. These are our sources. Thank you.
Sorry. Good morning, administrators, students, and all various honored guests. I'm Avery Solomon, an 8th grader at the Brooklyn Urban Garden Charter School, otherwise known as BUGS. I'm a member of the National Green School Society and specialize in working within our hydroponics lab. Today I will be discussing how we utilize this incredible fruitful environment within our school and surrounding communities, and how we have grown as both individuals and members of a larger group because of this wonderful resource. Our lab consists of 2 towers, 2 NFT systems, and 1 vine crop system. We complete various projects around these systems and use them to feed, inform, and teach our school-wide community and the community at large using the Farm Foundation curriculum. All students and staff have opportunities to involve themselves in the systems through planting, maintenance, harvesting, and consumption. In the coming years, we wish to incorporate not just the food and plants, but the scientific function into our curriculum. The BUGS teams are constantly finding new ways to include our routine harvests into our daily curriculum. The 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students will harvest within the lab or from the removed trays. Sometimes teachers or even the surrounding community members, such as the nearby crossing guard or adjacent security guard. Whatever the activity, the harvested greens are always enjoyed and appreciated, creating a fun and educational environment. In fact, I actually have a sprig of lavender that me and my administrator harvested before we came here. Mixteca is an organization nearby our school which serves the Latino immigrant community. Here we see our annual Mixteca donations where students gather the greens from our lab as well as other foods and materials such as clothes and walk them to the Mixteca building and our local community fridge. For this celebration of St. Patrick's Day, many honorable members of the NGSS team came together to create various original recipes aided by Chef George, seen in the back of this photo, and hosted a joyous celebration in our cafeteria, passing out plates of our gathered greens. At BUGS, we moved to include all members of our community into the activities within our lab. Here we gathered staff members to both harvest and incorporate the most recent growth into their own personalized salads. They were able to take the leaves home and enjoy with their friends and family. While I talk, there are some quotes that I recorded from our administrators, like our principal, our lab tech, Alex, who's here today, and some teachers, garden coordinators, and students who work in our hydroponics lab. What BUGS stands for are our 3 groups of values. The CARES values: community awareness, reach, exploration, student voice, and sustainability. The 3 pillars: social, economic, environmental, and the 5 ISCs: action orientation, multiple perspectives, stakeholder engagement, future thinking, and systems thinking. To use a cliche, the dictionary defines sustainability as avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain ecological balance. What amazes me as a student experiencing this at a young age is that our society has adapted to this development of an urban jungle to suit the needs of our planet inside of these towering buildings, such as the one we are in today. This invention truly showcases how we internationally are taking a step towards a greener future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cassie Cadet.
And my name is Samara Lende, and we're from St. Xavier High School.
Today we are going to talk about sunscreen and plants. Is it doing more harm than good? Sunscreen is used to protect us against the sun. Some active ingredients found in sunscreen include titanium dioxide, zinc oxide, and avobenzone. When we swim or shower, sunscreen may wash off and enter our waterways. Our experiment studied the effect of sunscreen on plant growth.
In coral, sunscreen can cause bleaching and DNA damage. In fish, it can cause reproduction issues, and in marine animals, it can accumulate in tissue and be transferred to their young.
For my experiment, I added sunscreen lotion to soil. Groups contain various amounts of sunscreen. I used wheatgrass seeds and observed the growth. The sunscreen lotion did not dissolve well in water, but mixed well in soil. There was no growth when the sunscreen was directly on seeds or when salt water was used. This graph shows how the plant height changed over time. As you can see, the groups with sunscreen were the shortest. There were very little physical differences in the plants. My next trial will use organic and natural sunscreen.
So, for my experiment, I used Java fern and planted it in jars that simulated a freshwater system. And in each jar, I used various amounts of sunscreen. I used liquid sunscreen, which mixed well with water. Some of the plants developed black spots, such as groups 3 and 4, which quickly wilted. As you can see, in group 1, it showed positive growth, while my experimental groups decreased in height, with some growth in group 4. With more sunscreen, the physical appearance of plants was affected. They grew slower and they decayed quicker. So, how can we help?
Step 1, educate yourself.
Step 2, use ocean-safe sunscreen.
Use ultraviolet protection factor sunwear.
Protect yourselves and our oceans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Earth Stewards. I am Feroz, and this is Eliana, Jenna, and Chloe from the PS189 Sustainability Squad. We are here to share our school journey from hydroponic farmer scientists to Earth stewards and activists.
We are super fortunate to have a huge hydroponic lab. Ever since 2nd grade, we have been planting and harvesting lettuce, herbs, cucumbers, tomatoes, and more. We've had some amazing experiences. It is hard not to care about the planet when you're surrounded by nature's magic. We've also learned about our planet and the challenges we are facing with climate change. We've seen in our classroom farm how the environment affects how things grow. We monitor water quality markers like pH, which is acidity, and EC, which are nutrient levels.
We make connections about how higher temperatures are damaging our oceans, rising pH levels, and temperatures are leading to coral bleaching and stronger and more frequent storms. We also learn about the plastic pollution problem. We know the problems and we wanted to be part of the solution. This year, we started the Sustainability Squad. Our mission is to educate our school community about Earth-positive practices and support numerous recycling programs to help get plastic out of the waste stream and reduce our impact on the planet. We are a team of over 50 kids from 3rd to 5th grade. We would like to share some of our programs with you.
Big Recycling Program is helping divert plastics out of the waste stream so that they can be recycled into new products. The Big Recycling team recycles ballpoint pens, watercolor trays, highlighters, empty glue sticks, and mechanical pencils. These common school supplies could lead to the plastic pollution problem, but we are making sure our planet gets healthier.
If you ever wondered how many markers a school can go through in a year, it's actually a lot and more than you might imagine. See, markers are made from plastic, and each time you place one in the trash, it is adding to the plastic pollution problem. Marker Magic uses a TerraCycle box. This year alone, we recycled almost 70 pounds of markers that could have been in the waste stream.
Many people do not recycle correctly, and this leads to more trash. We work with our community to make sure it all goes to the right place. Our food waste and composting teams are educating our community on the best practices like plastic-free lunches, not wasting food, composting correctly, and more. It is estimated that up to 50% of food in schools goes uneaten and ends up in landfills.
With so many people food insecure, this is awful. Here's a hint from our team. Try a bento box to avoid plastic baggies. Remember, when you waste food, you're also wasting all the resources that went into growing, harvesting, and delivering your food to you. Coronavirus brought masks into our everyday lives. We noticed how all the disposable masks were ending up in the trash and everywhere else. That is when we started our Wear and Recycle program and diverted over 100 pounds of masks from the waste stream and sent them through TerraCycle to be recycled into new plastic products.
April's Earth Month at PS199. One of the ways we tried to boost awareness was to issue a challenge. We think caring for our planet is fun, so we created challenges that would teach our community how to help our planet, such as reading books about the Earth and zero-waste lunches.
Here are 5 things you can do to be Team Earth all year round.
Refuse single-use plastics like baggies, straws, and water bottles.
Turn off the lights when you don't need them.
Recycle everything you can.
Walk, ride a bike, or take public transportation.
Use a reusable water bottle. Remember, only you can make a positive change, and together we can make the Earth a better place.
Thank you for being part of the solution to a better future.
This is so lovely. Hi, welcome to our presentation, On My Plate, Where's Your Food Come From? I'm Octavio.
I'm Beatrix. And I'm Amira.
And we are 8th graders from the West End Secondary School. Have you ever wondered where your food comes from? Maybe it was grown right down the street, or perhaps it was grown across the world. But you can also grow food inside your own home with the use of hydroponics. Today we'll be diving deeper into hydroponics and how it affects your food. In our 8th grade expedition, On My Plate, our focus questions were, what nourishes us, where does our food come from, and what is the future of farming? Our hydroponics case study and living environment focuses on the impact growing our own food can have on both us and the environment. For this expedition, we worked on multiple assignments in different classes, and they are actually on display right here in the forum for everyone to see. My friends will tell you more.
Thanks, Octavio. Just like he said, in our class, we thought about food that we have some sort of connection to. Maybe it's part of our culture, maybe it's something from our childhood, or maybe it's just a food that we really liked. We created an art piece of that food, and we interviewed some of our classmates about their own projects that they created. The questions we asked our classmates were, what food did you choose? Why did you choose that food? And what are some ingredients in your food and where did they come from? Or what is a fun fact about your food? We also wrote about the story of one ingredient from that project during ELA and science classes. And don't forget to check out our projects, like Dr. Octavio said, in the corridor.
Why hydroponics? Many people don't think about the journey their food takes. We thought about this when we wrote the story of our Amelia wells. In the last 4 years, 64.9% of our mangoes came from Mexico. This means that they were imported by plane and then driven to your local grocery store by truck, which contributes to mass carbon emissions. You may be wondering, what can I do to prevent this? Hydroponics is a great alternative to buying produce because not only is it eco-friendly, but you can trust where your food came from. For example, in our hydroponics elective, we threw a pizza party. Beatrix made the sauce using tomatoes from our vine crop system, and we also took basils to top our pizza from the NFTs. We use the same basil to make pesto. In conclusion, with hydroponics, not only will you have a tasty dish, but it will be better for the environment. So next time you look at your plate, think about where your food comes from.
And don't forget to check out our projects in the lobby.
Also, remember to check out the QR code to view our interviews. That was
so cool. Okay, can y'all hear me? Hello, my name is Jerry Taylor, and I'm the Director of Career Pathways, Diversity and Career Pathways at the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, where we want to see and manage sustainable forests. But before we get started, since my presentation is not going to be like anybody else's in this building, I want to first hear who is from Brooklyn. Like, who's representing Brooklyn? I thought you were going to be a little louder than that. What about Harlem? That's where my family's from. Come on, Harlem, let's go, let's go. What about Queens? Whoop, whoop. Do we have the Bronx in here today? Yes, okay. Do we have New Jersey? Okay, what about Staten Island? Any Staten Islanders? Okay, okay. So, today is not going to be a typical speech because I'm going to tell you a little bit about my speech. It's going to be about not following rules. So some teachers are going to be upset with me today about not following rules, but we're going to talk about why it's important not to follow rules. So there's me, the Director of Diversity and Career Pathways. You're probably like, what is that job? So my job is to help the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, which is a binational company, which is in Canada and the United States, to help diversify the forest and conservation sector. At this time, there are only 3% Black Americans in conservation, 1.1% African American women in conservation, and we get to our Latinx populations, as well as our Pacific Islanders, indigenous peoples, it's less than 1%. So my job is here to help get everybody in the career. We need voices at the table. I'm tired of being the only one at the conferences. So I want y'all here. So we tell you a little bit about SFI. We always want to make sure that you understand that our economic growth and development in this country came from enslaved Africans as well as indigenous people. So agriculture, it started there. So it's important that we acknowledge that, part of my diversity work. All right, so advancing careers starts early with our engagement, exploration, and experience. And so when you see experience, we're talking about our mentorships, our internships, as well as our job placements that we offer, starting as young as 18, but within your schools, we do have a lot of activities that we do to make sure that students even know about the careers. And you've probably heard of our program. I heard someone mention Greening Schools. That started with our initiative under Project Learning Tree. So that's a part of our company as well. So just letting you know that there are opportunities out here. But this is where I'm going to get into not following rules. So I hope your family, teachers, please do not get mad at me. Our parents or our guardians teach us to listen. Our teachers teach us to raise our hands. Our textbooks tell us to follow a problem method. It seems that anything we wish to attain in this world comes with an attachment of a rule. However, while I was being taught about this remarkable phenomenon in pre-calculus, I discovered something amazing. My teacher was teaching us the zero power rule and told us that anything to the power of zero is 1. 1 to the power of 0 is 1, and 1,000,000 to the power of 0 is 1. As my teacher monotonously went through every example of how any number to the power of 0 is 1, me being who I am, I don't follow the rules, I punched in my calculator 0 to the power of 0, and what I found that I got back was undefined. Undefined means without fixed limits. When you get something undefined, that means it's unique and it's exceptional. After getting this in my calculator, I started to think about how I'm an exception to many rules, because I was created to overcome adversity and to be an exceptional role model for the next green generation. Just like you, as I sit here today, I want to tell you that I never thought a black girl from a small town called Cedar Grove in North Carolina would be here today. Just like you, you are unique, but you are also an exception to any rule that society may have placed on you or in your life. Being the director of Diversity and Career Pathways reminds me why I'm an exception to any rule placed on me by society. If you look at me, you probably would not know that growing up was filled with beautiful days and sunshine outside, but not always the easiest home life, with having a parent that was an addict, having a single mom where I shared a bedroom with her until I was in 12th grade. Based on what society has placed on me and the rules, I should not be here today, speaking to you. And to add another layer to this, as my brother got shot when I turned 18, I had my first seizure. So I also got marked with a disability as well. So most people would have given up, but for me, quitting was not an option. I had to be the change that I wanted to see in my community. When I started out, I would have never imagined I was going to be working in sustainability, but especially not at the Sustainable Forestry Initiative as the first Black American in leadership at that organization. And if you look at the date when it started, you'll be probably surprised. But I feel like if I stuck to the rules that society had set out for me, I would not be in this green space and I would not have a green job. I am so happy to see so many diverse youth and just youth in general bringing these diverse perspectives to this climate change conversation. So I'm gonna leave you with this. Take calculated risks to benefit your career. Play to your strengths and always remember you are an exception to any rule. And before I leave here, I also want to tell you, every youth in this room, you are a jewel. Every teacher that is in here, they're here to help you shine. So just remember to use your mentors, your leaders, like everybody here is rooting for you. So that's all I have to say today, but thank you again, New York Sun Works, for letting me come and speak to the youth. Thank you.
So please welcome the Javits Center Sustainability Team.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Awesome. Welcome to Javits Center. I hope you all are having an amazing day. Before I start with the presentation, I wanted to congratulate all of you for the amazing work that you all are doing. Ms. Tanyhill shared with me the amazing activities that you participated in all of your schools. And let me tell you, as a mom myself of 2 kids, a middle schooler and a high schooler, I am so proud of all of you for what you're doing and what you're learning. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for your interest in learning about sustainability. Now let's learn about what Javits Center is and what we are doing as a sustainability team at Javits Center. Can we have the next slide? Thank you. So let me introduce myself. My name is Yashi Dadij. I am the Director of Energy and Sustainability at Javits Center. This is Julia. She is the Sustainability Operations Manager at Javits Center. Isabel, she is the Sustainability Specialist. And we have our wonderful intern, Grace. Next slide, please. Our sustainability story at Javits Center, we are making sure that we are not only saying things that we are doing sustainable practices in our operations, but we also want to make sure that we are a better neighbor for all of our neighborhood. We also want to make sure that as a state entity, as a state agency, we are the driver for the economic growth for the state as well. And we want to support our future generation, such as all of you. And we want to educate all of you as well. Next slide, please. So our story, we opened our doors in 1986, long back, right? So our story is coming all the way from 1986 to 2023. And as some of you might already know, this is the busiest convention center in the country. And we, as I mentioned, that we want to be the economic driver, financial driver for the state. And that's what we have been doing, that how do we do all of this in a responsible manner for all of you in your future generations. And I'll let Julia take over from here.
Hi, everybody. So you can see on this picture what the green roof used to look like before we had a renovation. So in the first 20 or so years of the Javits Center, we had no green roof, and we had these really reflective glass panels, and we were actually the #1 bird killer in New York City. We were an enemy of New York City Audubon, and this was before we had the opportunity to renovate. So you can go to the next slide. So we underwent a really big renovation from 2009 to 2014, and one of the biggest things we did was add an extensive green roof. So extensive just means that it's really thin compared to an intensive green roof, which the farm that you'll see on this tour, this is an intensive green roof where there's up to a foot of soil. You probably passed our green roof on your way in, and you'll pass it again on your way out, but you can look out and see. That was one of the biggest changes that we did, and I'll get into some of the benefits of that. The bird-friendly glass, it reduced our bird deaths by 95%. So we went from an enemy of New York City Audubon to a close friend, and that kind of launched the sustainability story here. We thought, what else could we do next? We hired people with sustainability in their title to champion those efforts. The team has grown. We added our first 5 beehives and then 4 more on this roof that we'll point out on the tour. And we did research with universities to study the impacts of these changes, and that way we could justify continuing to grow the program and do more. So one of the biggest benefits of green roofs is stormwater mitigation. So as you might know, big rain events, they end up pulling pollution off the city streets. There's nothing to absorb into, and pulling pollution and trash into the Hudson River. But when you add green infrastructure, like the green roof here at the Javits Center, you're able to retain stormwater and reduce the polluted water that's carrying chemicals into riverways, or rivers like the Hudson River. So some of the results from the studies with Drexel included that we have an average retention of 77% over the course of the year, and it's 18 times as cost effective as compared to a subsurface cistern in Midtown, and that study came from Drexel. Another impact is thermal regulation. So we were able to compare The green roof, one section of it was put in before another section, so we still had some blacktop roof, which is more standard across New York, and we could study the difference. And we found that the sedum roof was 31% cooler than the black membrane roof that preceded it. And it reduced the heat flux into the building by about 46%. And what that means is you don't need to cool as much in the summer or heat as much as in the winter, and so that was a 26% energy reduction that all contributed to. This slide again represents some of those really vast differences and urban heat island effect that our green roof is able to reduce. We'll move on to some other aspects of our sustainability program now.
Hi everyone. So after our 2014 renovation was completed, a couple years later in 2021, we expanded the Javits Center. So after the 1.2 million square foot expansion, now the Javits Center sits on 6 blocks, and it is 3.3 million square feet, which is pretty huge. So because of that expansion and because of all of the square footage we were able to incorporate a rooftop farm, a food forest, and a greenhouse into the building's design, which you'll see in a second. So we also were able to include a 4-level truck marshaling facility. And even though that doesn't sound very interesting, it's pretty awesome because you're able to park 200 trucks in there at once. And when all of the trucks are coming to the event, they can be parked in there and they don't have to idle around the building and emit carbon. And they also don't have to take trips back to New Jersey. So we're cutting down on our emissions related to our events. We also have a 30 megawatt microgrid with state-of-the-art generators that allow us to be off the grid for up to 6 consecutive days if needed, and that's part of our resiliency plan. We also have 1,400 solar panels installed in 2022, and this is the single largest rooftop project in Manhattan and will generate 10% of our building's power. So these will be energized at the end of May, which we're very excited about. And our battery energy storage system is expected to be activated in November. Beehives. We have 9 beehives across our rooftop, 4 on the Javits North rooftop and 3 on our green roofs. And we continue to harvest honey and distribute to visitors as our kitchens need it and as we have tours that come to the building. And we manage the hives, but we also have Aster Apiaries, which is a beehive management company that we work with. So maybe one day you'll get a little jar of Javits honey that you can try.
Here at the Javits Center, we also want to make sure that we're reducing food waste and that our crops don't get into landfill. So we have Jacob's Harvest, which is a pickling line. We pickle different crops from the farm that don't go to events or our cafeteria, so things like cucumbers, radishes, ginger. We also harvest the honey from our beehives. We also have a roof-to-table program here at the Javits Center. The first year, this program was last year in 2022. We served over 137,000 meals with farm products, and 45% of our catering menu uses products from the farm. We have a very special relationship here between our chefs and our farmers. Our in-house catering team cultivated, and our farmers from Brooklyn Grange are able to discuss with each other and plan specifically for events throughout the summer months. And we can maximize the crops grown on our farm to be included in all the catering orders here at the Javits Center.
So we'll introduce our farmers before we launch the tour. We've got Orion Ashmore and Stina Seberg, our 2 farm managers from Brooklyn Grange. So Brooklyn Grange is the company that operates and manages the farm, and they've got a crew that may or may not be around, but they'll be stationed throughout the tour to answer questions, as will we.
And we also have 2 of our wonderful ambassadors, Elizabeth and Loretta. Thank you, all of you. Welcome to Javits Center, and let's go walk around and take a look at our beautiful farm. Thank you.
We want to thank all the wonderful farmer scientists and guest speakers that made our conference so incredible today. And also many thanks to everyone watching today. It was really inspiring to see everyone coming together to learn and celebrate sustainability science.
We hope you all follow the passion in your hearts, because together we can make this world a better and more sustainable place. Please remain seated as we give you further instructions on the next steps and dismissal, and thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
Woo! You did a great job.